That was a really good experience.
Good old time fun.
Yeah.
What makes the forest fires in California so difficult to uh, protect from and stop and get a handle on,
Well,
or forest fires in general? Maybe might be a better question.
so California is a pretty specific example.
Okay.
Um, the like original fire management strategy at the beginning, I guess I'm not a fire ecology historian, so like this is kind of just from knowledge picked up along the way. Um, but the general strategy has been fire suppression, where this is like Smokey the Bear telling you like don't throw your cigarette butt, like only you can prevent forest fires. Let's stop fires from happening so that then they won't happen, and then like nobody's house gets burned down. So we did that for decades, and what starts to happen is you get fuel or dried grass, saplings that die and dry out, and then are just like turns the entire forest into kind of a tinderbox. And when it burns, say like every 5 years from like a natural lightning strike, that stuff burns off and it doesn't really accumulate that much. When you have active fire suppression over decades, you just keep adding really, really combustible stuff to the forest floor. And then when it does light, you have, you know, approximately 5 times the fire if you've suppressed it for like that many years. Um, so you just get fires that are much more extreme. There's
Okay.
also an angle going back to climate change where it's getting hotter, it's getting drier. It's the winds seem to be getting a little bit more extreme, and there have been a lot of forest fires, particularly in California, that have happened during very windy periods, and that's how it starts one place, and then there's like a very small evacuation order, and then 4 hours later, it's it's like running down a mountainside, like a good distance away, and suddenly a bunch of people who thought they were safe are suddenly in kind of danger zone. So
Is
there are a couple dynamics contributing to why the fires have been so bad.
is the spreading via wind the same phenomenon that you basically use like a bellows to create a bigger fire in the fireplace? It oxygenates the fire and spreads that way. It's not
It,
like picking up branches and throwing them to the next tree. It's more, is it more chemical than that?
you're totally right, and I think it's both.
Okay.
So it both just like hyper oxygenizes the fire, um, and really prevents it from really slowing down. It can also just drive it forward, where like fire, while seeing fire, it moves vertically generally. But if you have this, say, like 30-mile-an-hour wind pushing it in one direction, that will take a tree that might just burn vertically and maybe burn out, not spread. That pushes all of the flames and the embers from that tree to the next tree and the next
Yeah.
tree, the
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it can also make fires a lot more difficult to contain. So there are things called fire lines where they will just clear cut, say, like a 40-foot corridor of trees, so that hopefully any forest fire that approaches that fire line from either direction just suddenly doesn't have any fuel to burn and is then stopped. Really windy conditions really increase the probability that some ember from one of the trees on one side of that fire line will make it all the way to the other side and be able to ignite something. So windy conditions make it much more likely that a wildfire will jump fire lines, roads, and
Yeah. I
spread
remember
really rapidly.
we talked, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago, and you had said that the way that one of the fires got so close to where you live was because the fire jumped like a highway that they never expected it to be able to jump.
Yeah, and these are all things that get worked into like a fire management or fire response plan, um, and you have certain expectations for a way a fire is going to act under certain conditions. And again, don't quote me on this. I don't have any people in the Irvine or Orange County fire departments, But it seemed like they were really expecting that highway to be like a backstop, and
Okay.
it and the fire jumped it pretty quickly, and we were all scrambling and very nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. That's scary stuff.